This is the JWN Podcast. Jenna and Corey began their musical partnership as members of the indie rock band Susto. After touring extensively, they decided to part ways with Susto to begin their own project, which became known as Babe Club. Mixing their influences of 70s new wave and 90s alt pop, their alluring melodies are fused with powerfully evocative and existential lyrics, yielding songs that explore self-realization, honest emotions, friendships, and themes of love. As they prepare to release their debut EP, Remember This Feeling, Jenna and Corey sat down with me to discuss how they got their start in music and how they came together in life and creativity. Here's my conversation with Babe Club.
Hi, this is Corey Campbell, and you're listening to WDRD.
Hi, this is WDRD, and you're listening to Corey Campbell.
WDRE was the Long Island radio station.
It was?
WDRE back in, you might be too. I might be dating myself. PLJ has been there forever, and like Z100, and yeah, WDRE was like in Long Island. It was like the new wave station in like the 80s and 90s, and then it kind of went away. And there was a similar station here in Charleston called, when I first moved here, I don't listen to a lot of commercial radio, but I remember it was 96 something, The Wave. Uh-huh. And it was like the alternative / new wave station. And they had cool DJs that like had their own shows that would play local music as well as like, you know, whatever was hip at the time.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I know. My family wasn't really that into music, so I wouldn't like. I only know Z100 and PLJ from Long Island.
So wait, your family has no musical interests or background?
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, me and my brother both play music, and my parents both know music. And I've never spoken on a podcast before, so I feel nervous right now.
You sound perfect.
I do.
Yes. The big thing about this influence that you get, like when you're young, I remember like clearly not caring about music, and then puberty hit, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, the girls like this stuff. Why? And then I started listening to it, and I was like, oh, I like this.
That's so funny. Were you like that, Corey?
No.
You weren't?
Well, I had a friend who, well, I guess, I don't know, there's at some point where like I hit the 6th grade, and then my dad had all these, well, I guess I was like music a lot growing up. Like I remember having like this really deep moment when I was like 5 years old with a Third Eye Blind record. It was like this, I don't even know what song it is anymore, but it was like the song that opened up with like an acoustic guitar riff. Yeah. And I remember calling my parents into the room and be like, listen to this. Like, this is amazing. You know, it's just like, you know, looking back, I couldn't even find it. I was like, where's the amazing like guitar lick that I was like loved.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Did they ever explain to you that that the name of the band was a dick joke?
No, I'd never even heard that until
Third Eye Blind.
Wow. I thought
it's
it had
a
to
dick
do,
joke.
So it has nothing to do with like your spiritual
mind. From what I understand, it's about something else.
What is it? I honestly, I don't.
It's a penis reference.
It is, yeah. I've never heard of that before.
I mean, I could double check. I might be wrong, but I've heard that before. I don't know.
I trust you. I'll have to look it up. We could right now.
I could look it up right this second. This is interesting
Let's do
stuff.
It. We all want to find this out.
Third Eye Blind.
Well, that's like My Morning Jacket.
Reference.
Right? Isn't that like a jerking off reference?
Oh, hold on a second. I don't know that.
That's what I've heard.
Jacket?
Like
jacket.
Yeah.
My Morning Jacket. Yeah.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
It sounds like it could be right. The worst names for bands are you guys have a really cool name, but you're not like prepubescent or just pubescent kids.
Yeah.
You're old enough to know. Let's not name our band like Free Titties and Beer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah.
All right. So the group for Third Eye Blind.
Free Titties and Beer.
Yes, I've seen that band.
You have? Are they good?
No, they sound exactly like what you.
Is it a real band?
There's always like Free Naked Ladies, the Bare Naked Ladies.
The
is a
Bare
band.
Naked Ladies.
And it was just so they could put on a flyer, like, come see the Bare Naked Ladies.
That's
pretty.
That is smart.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it sounds smart until you grow up, and then you're like, oh, I gotta pursue a career like, I guess Bare Naked Ladies, it worked out for them. But.
Yeah.
And that's the same reason that Meatloaf has his band, because a lot of people really like Meatloaf.
Yeah, it's like, man, I'm going to go to this venue and eat some meatloaf.
That's what my brother kind of helped me out, talk me through when we were choosing Babe Club. Because it's so hard. We made a list of like 20 names. We're like, which one is the shittiest? Well, which ones are the shittiest? Right?
Which one is the least shitty?
The least shitty,
Right.
sorry.
It's like, maybe that should be our band name.
What was the top like 3? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah, no idea.
I have no idea what
you
they
have
are.
that notebook?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But my brother said, look at
plausible deniability.
Yeah, please don't share that.
Yeah, I really don't know.
I don't know.
But my brother said, he was like, it doesn't really matter what your band name is, because look at Meatloaf. Like, just a horrible name. I'm not trying to be mean, but I hope this podcast reaches Meatloaf and we can talk it out if that's.
I think he's probably come to grips with it.
I know.
Yeah, he'd probably be
but
like,
still, it doesn't.
That's true.
It doesn't affect his music at all. It's just like he's Meatloaf.
Yeah,
it's him.
When you see the name Meatloaf and then you see him performing, especially back then in like biker jacket and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and you're like, okay,
well, it's like the personification of Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love Bad Out of Hell is one of my favorite like songs. Not even the whole album, just that song.
I'm actually not really familiar with Meatloaf's catalog. I'm like, I know I'm trying to follow along, but I'm like,
I'm deep diving. It was produced by.
Like, I'm excited I'm going to have a lot of things to listen to after this podcast, because I don't have a very diverse catalog, I would say. It's what I know, but there's so many things to know. Yeah. So many things to listen to. So.
Well, when I was a kid, I definitely, there was no streaming services. So like, if you didn't have money, you just couldn't, like all of my records I bought used for the most part, unless it was like it was like Guns N' Roses and I had to get like Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I had to save my money and go buy the cassette, that kind of thing. But other than that, there was no way to get it except tape it off your friends or sit by the radio with a freaking tape deck and like put it up against a speaker and record and just wait. Every song you'd hit record in case your favorite song came on. It's like, damn it, that wasn't the Police.
Rewind.
Damn
wow.
it. Yeah. So, and then you'd make mixtapes that way. There were like serious labors of love.
Wow.
So, yeah, I became very picky about music.
That's why making a mixtape for somebody, I guess, is really so beautiful, right? It's a labor of love.
Oh yeah, and well, even making a I never realize it until the time traveling is done. Making a playlist for someone is super time consuming.
Yeah, it is.
If you really plan it out.
Yeah.
If you're very thoughtful about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have music growing up in your house, what got you into music?
I took piano lessons when I was younger, at age about 7 until I was 14. I kind of feel like, so me and my brother both play music. My parents aren't that into music. And my mom's dad was actually a USO impersonator. He was in the USO shows. We both never met him.
A USO impersonator?
Yeah, well, he was an impersonator of like Frank Sinatra, Jimmy Durante.
That's awesome.
So I feel like my parents weren't necessarily like, oh yeah, let's listen to all this cool music on the radio kind of thing. But I feel like we definitely grew up just having the idea of those like classic like crooner style voices, because my mom's dad was an impersonator. Mm-hmm. And me and my brother both never met him, but I in my head I'm like, I guess I am getting into music because maybe he's a little bit a part of us, and I don't know. we both like, my brother does funny impersonations. But anyway, I got into music because I don't know why. This is crazy. I shouldn't have done this.
Well, it's funny because I know what it's like to just kind of feel like you've stumbled into something, like it's there, and all of a sudden that spark goes off. Corey, what did you, what was your like turning point where you were like really started getting, because you're like, you play a bunch of instruments. Mm-hmm. It seems like if you're not an educated musician, you've fooled me. Like it seems like you've got like a classical education of music.
I do,
behind
you. Well, it all started when in the 6th grade, I was at my friend's birthday party, mm-hmm. and he had a guitar, and he showed me how to play Feel Good Inc. by the Gorillaz. Nice. The bass line, but on the guitar. My grandfather had like an old guitar, like an acoustic. My grandma, he had passed away. My grandma just gave it to me, and so I learned on that for a little bit. But then Christmas came, my dad gave me an electric guitar. And you know, likewise, a similar story. Like my family is not musical really at all. Mm-hmm. Like no, I don't know a single person. I mean, maybe my grandfather played, but it was just like he just played songs sometimes, you know, very casually.
Your aunt's really into music.
She loves going to concerts. Yeah. And, you know, my parents love going to concerts. They like listening to music, but nobody plays music. But when I started playing guitar, I got really serious about it really quickly. And I played in church growing up. Mm-hmm. And
where did you grow up?
In Gaffney, South Carolina.
Nice.
Yeah. But just playing a lot of church stuff kind of got me like into knowing my chords better in music theory. And then I started playing piano at age 16 and like learned how to read music, essentially like taught myself. And then I went to college for piano, and here I am.
That's So which one of you, so you guys met when you were playing with the band Susto, which is like a local, is that correct?
Well,
no, you met beforehand.
Yeah, we were dating before Jenna joined, and I was like,
the plot thickens. I had no idea. Uh-huh. So you joined Susto
in 2014, like almost immediately after the first album came out.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you guys were like, hey, I know someone who could fill in on bass.
Well, it was funny because we had.
I guess this kind of goes. I'm going to cut you off for a second because this plays into me coming into music because I studied psychology. The reason why I was like, I don't even know why I'm doing this is because my relationship with music is a little bit more turbulent and like not as clear as Corey's. Honestly, every day still I'm like, I don't know.
But for me, it's been my destiny.
But so I just graduated college and I'd been playing in bands, like doing a little bit of songwriting here in Charleston, but I hadn't really been singing, just doing backups. And we went home to visit my parents when we first started dating in 2015. And they were like, what are you going to do? You just finished college. You're going to be a prosperous young adult. And then I was like, I think I'm just going to stay in Charleston and play music. And they were like, I don't know. And Corey was in Susto. He was like, yeah, I'm in a band. And my brother was in a band too. So my parents were like, oh my God, like we're just really in deep here. And then on the flight home.
Well, we had, we had this Australian guy who had done this like tour with Susto, supporting another songwriter who we did this trio tour with, me, Justin, and Johnny. And we had like convinced this guy to like you should stay in America and play bass with us. And then he right at the end, he was like, actually I'm gonna go home, so we don't, and then we were just like, we had a bunch of shows coming up but we didn't have a bass player. And then I went home to visit Jenna's parents for the first time, and then we were on the plane back, and I looked over and I was like, I had this idea. I was like, Jenna, these bass lines are totally within your grasp. Like, you're a great musician. I think you could learn how to play the bass in like 2 weeks and play these shows.
Yeah, so Corey.
Oh my goodness. This is by the way, every guitar player, you can learn that. It's only got 4 strings. You could do this, man.
Yeah, they do,
like,
I guess.
What?
It was tough. I mean, it was a tough time, but it felt like the time passed. it felt way harder than when I look back. It was only 2 weeks of time because like I had never played a string instrument before. So that was like, I'd be like practicing we used to practice in a storage unit, the one on Line Street that's closed down. And it's going to be turned to restaurants.
Everything's either going to be a hotel or a restaurant at some point.
I think it's going to be both.
Yeah. But yeah, that's probably one of the proudest moments of my life, honestly, because I didn't even know how to touch a string, and I would be there all day. I was trying to play Cigarettes, Whiskey, and Wine with the pick because we were going to surprise Susto and just be like, yeah, I just know the songs. But they were like, no, we're auditioning.
Yeah, we're auditioning people next week. And I was like, fuck, Jenna, we got to wake up at like 6 a.m. every day and like practice.
I know. So
you can do the audition.
I can't. One day, it was like 2 days before I was going to try out, I was playing with a pick, and Corey came in. I was like, I feel like I'm really getting this part. And he was like, I don't know if you can do this.
Oh no!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Corey. But it was just like a normal reaction. I just started to cry because I was like, no. But
it was very different. I feel like, okay, so most of the time
Corey was saying,
it was the opposite.
This.
I was like Jenna, you got this. This is it. Just just
right.
Focus here for a little bit
to pick Corey in that way.
But then there's this one moment where it was like a technical thing.
It was coming down the line.
Damn, I don't know if you can do this in 2 days. And then Jenna, but
but
it was a different kind of cry. Yeah. It was like you put on this like conquering face, and you're like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up. Like
it was kind of funny. And I didn't really learn how to play with the pick until 2 years after that. I just used my fingers, so it's pretty hard.
I mean, the hardest part for me when I think of bass is the same reason why I never could figure out drums. It's the timing. It's it's a rhythmic, you know what I'm saying?
It is kind of weird because I came from a place where I was memorizing classical music when I was younger. And that's kind of how I communicate in music. I just memorize things. I mean, everybody has to memorize, but I didn't even understand like rhythm at all when I was like for the first like 6 months I was playing in Susto. I was like, somebody said just follow the kick drum, and I said, okay, I'll just listen, and I memorized this bass line. It took a long time before you said the rhythm for you is just like you don't understand it.
It's not that I don't. It's that I'm terribly like awful at keeping a rhythm. Like if I don't have a good, but when I played in a band, like I leaned on the rhythm section to keep myself to not get lost.
Yeah, I find that too as a songwriter. I spend a lot of time playing music, like just by myself. Do you do that?
Not as much as I used
to. Well, when you
did,
when you were playing in a band.
Oh, it was all day.
Yeah, and I think it's really challenging to translate that to like then being in time because I get self-indulgent and I play a song and I stretch this one part out. And then when I go and play, I'm like, where am I? But yeah, I kind of rely on them too.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. And you guys are in Susto. You're touring like the world at that point, right?
Yeah. Well, Europe and the United States.
Every single metropolitan area in the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
Hey, if baseball can say it's the World Series and they only go in 2 countries, you guys toured the world.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
so I'll say that.
Yeah, we toured the world.
There you go. I remember when that second record came out and you guys played at Monster Music.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You played the whole album.
Fun.
Yeah.
And I was only mildly familiar with like Susto. I'd seen them a bunch of times, but it wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
And I found myself at Monster Music that day, like fully engulfed in it. And I was just like, these songs are amazing. Like, what's going on here? Why have I not paid attention to that? Record was fantastic. And then by the time I saw you guys, like at the end of that tour and you guys were playing the Music Farm, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They sounded amazing in that record store. And now they've taken it 12 notches up.
Yeah. That was a cool show.
And it was like a really, like, holy cow, this band has blown up. And then you guys, somewhere between that and Babe Club, you guys decided we need to focus in on our own stuff.
It was kind of a tough decision, honestly. I always wanted to sing. So I started, it's kind of weird. Sometimes I'm going to be like a little personal here, but sometimes when you're like, when you can only be on Instagram to connect to like real people and your friends and you're watching life go by, I just like started to get jealous of my friends who see them singing all the time. And so I realized, like, even though it's such a simple thing, that I don't know if in Susto I would have been able to put myself out in the world, because people would just recognize me like, oh, you're the bass player of Susto, because that's what I was. But in my head, I'm like, no, like, I sing. Don't you know?
Yeah. There's a microphone in front of you back
don't
there.
you know that I do that? But I think leaving for me was just like committing to exploring that, because I'd never been a lead vocalist up until like the past 2 years, really.
Yeah. And what was that like for you? Because my connection to you as also as like the multi-instrument guy who was, you were like half the sound of that record from what I could tell.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, that's it. I'm going off with Jenna and we're forming this new project.
We had, there's like a moment when Justin decided to do the newest record by himself. And for me, like, I totally respect that decision, of course. It's ultimately his project. But for me, this, like, I get my satisfaction, like fulfillment in music from creating music. So like if that one crucial moment is stripped from me, then it's like, I really don't want to stick around, And so with Babe Club, we've been doing that together. It's like, okay, it's probably time for us to like branch out and do something different.
And you guys have been handling it in a way that it's so different than other bands that you'll see, especially in a local music scene or independent music scene. You guys have taken your time. You didn't like rush. You guys didn't like get a bunch of songs, put them right out, and then like that was it. You guys really like have worked on these songs for a couple of years now.
Yeah, the songs that are going to come out on the EP and the new ones that we have out, some of them we wrote in 2016, so almost 4 years ago, and some of them 2017. And I think that is a regret of ours. We wish we didn't take so much time.
Yeah, we wish we would have just put it out a little earlier.
At the same time, I think we did like learn so many cool things along the way. And I think what we're doing right now, what you guys are going to see us put out, like wouldn't have happened if we didn't take so long.
That's true. And a lot of the time, like almost, I don't want to say forced time to look inward, but we definitely were choosing to like follow the path of like setting everything up so perfectly and doing all these things and waiting and doing this, putting all these blocks here and putting these shapes over here, like a lot of it allowed us to have time to grow. And like, for instance, like the Need a Girl video that just came out, like,
oh my goodness,
we're
gonna have to take a deep dive into all of that song, by the way.
Okay. But just to get a glimpse into our process, less about the music video, but we did that music video 3 times and we re-recorded the song twice.
Wow.
So
yeah, you guys are very picky.
We're insane.
We're very picky.
We're insane.
We like to do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said about when you are trying to create something and you collaborate with a lot of people and you're like, no, it's not my vision, but how do I get this vision just myself? And then once you know yourself, it's easier to collaborate with other people, I think. And I think that's kind of where we are now. Like, we did do that deep dive, and I think we're like ready to collaborate with people because
I think we know ourselves.
We figured some stuff
better.
out. Yeah.
It's funny to me because the first single that you guys put out was on a compilation, right? The Automatic Love.
Yeah.
I feel like just from that recording to the last 2 that you've released this year, I know probably to you guys, you're like, it's all part of the same thing. But to me, I'm like, it sounds like you guys had a thing going on there and you fully just fleshed it out.
Wait till you hear the new version of Automatic Love.
You re-recorded it.
Yeah. Are you surprised?
I didn't know you re-recorded it.
Yeah, we did. It's actually the next single coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I know people really connected to that one, and
it's hard to re-release a song that people have heard already.
I know.
And before, it technically wasn't a Babe Club release. It was released under Jenna's name.
Yeah.
So it was, because we didn't have a band name.
Yeah.
So you can get away with it. You can be like, nah, that's the demo of
it's the
Jenna
demo.
Desmond. That's not Babe Club. That was just her by herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys are getting a lot of notoriety from the right people because you deserve it.
That's nice.
And I mean, let's talk about this for a second. The opening lines, I don't have the lyrics in front of me. Hold on a second.
I haven't gotten into too many of these conversations, so I'm excited.
Are you being serious, or are you being?
Oh yeah, I'm being serious. Well, I mean, we released this 2 weeks ago and during a pandemic, so like.
Well, that's so upset because I felt like you guys had been gearing up for the summer of Babe Club.
Yeah.
And I there's these things that you go like, okay, these guys have been working on this. They're going to release material and they're just going to hit the ground running. And I could see you guys were gearing up for that. Like I could see all the signs were there. You guys were planting all the seeds. You were getting everything lined up.
Yeah.
And then the world's like, hey, fuck you.
I know. The world fucked everybody. So at least we can commiserate with everybody.
Yeah. Well, something so sensitive and you put your heart into it. You've now been forced to take a left turn that nobody was really, nobody believed could happen, or at least the general population. You know, the smart people knew it could happen, but the rest of us were all sitting here like, really? Wait, we're going to be stuck inside for how long? You know,
I know.
So, all right. So let's talk about Need a Girl because
it's explicit.
The opening lines.
I think people don't like it like that, but go for it.
No, it's so graphic.
Yeah,
I am not a person. I am not a person who gets hit by the lyrics right off the bat from songs. I usually hear the melody and the song and the energy and the all of that stuff hits me first usually. And then all of a sudden I'll start to like, there are songs that I've been listening to for 20 years. And then all of a sudden I go like, that's about what?
I know. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you just don't, you know, how many times can you hear a song and never actually know what it's about? And then when you find out, you're blown away.
I know.
No, this song, I mean, right off the bat, I was like, oh my. And I don't mean that like I'm not prude, but I was like, you're coming out of the gate swinging. Like you have this confident sexual thing going on right off the bat. How, like, that takes such a confident, like the set of balls.
I know, I guess, yeah.
To come out like that. You know what I'm saying? Like all 80s hair metal bands were all about sex.
Yeah.
But they weren't sensual.
Right.
Like they weren't.
They were like, what? We're making love tonight, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Even R&B, but you're coming at it like from a very feminine power, but it has nothing to do with a sexuality. Like you could be talking about anything.
Yeah.
Because the songs Need a Girl.
Yeah.
But it's sung by a girl. Yeah. And you're basically explain what you don't have to explain exactly what you're thinking. Just explain what the process was of saying like, I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah.
Unfiltered.
I know. I wrote that in 2017 and should I say the line?
Of course.
Yeah. The line is, I kind of forgot it. It's weird because
hold on a second.
Should we just play it?
Oh wait,
it's weird because I feel confident that it's in the song, but now that I have to say it out loud, it's like,
there you go.
That's it.
And tell you everything that happened when I did get off. And did you really come when he went down? And if I'm not crazy,
I mean, seriously.
I mean, it's pretty intense, right?
I personally,
it's honest, right?
It's so like, it's so strong.
Do you think?
And like, and it's so, it's such an empowering way to come swinging for the fence because I mean, you're singing it in a very, it's not like you're coming out and saying like, yo, bitch, I bet you he didn't even make you come.
Yeah, I know.
You're saying it in like, I bet he didn't make you come. And I'm like, you know, you're saying it in a very you're saying it in a very feminine way, in a very, but with a very traditionally, for lack of a better term, masculine, like, or feminine, the way women would talk to each other behind closed doors.
Right,
That's
exactly.
probably the better analogy.
That's definitely where I was going with that line, because I think that I'm actually curious. I have a question for you, but yeah, I was coming at it from a place where I didn't have any friends in Susto. I mean, when I feel like you get to be 24, 25 and you're like really into doing whatever you're working on, you kind of like isolate yourself. Like, I think all people, whether you're in a band, whatever. And so I didn't realize this until recently, but it was inspired by this Leonard Cohen poem I wrote. I mean, I didn't write it. Why did I say that? I read it.
Hold on. Stop the presses.
That's right. I time travel. I went back in time. I whispered in Leonard Cohen's ears when he stayed at a monastery. I was one of the monks.
I love it.
Anyway, it's called The Book of Longing, and I at the time I felt very happy in my life, and I felt happy in my career, and I feel like a lot of songwriters, including myself, they're like, well, what can I be sad about today so I can write about it? And I was like, oh, well, I don't really have any girlfriends that I connect to right now. And so that line is really coming from like a place of looking back to a time of a conversation that I would have with somebody. Like, I feel like a lot of girls who are single and like in their early 20s are like, I didn't come, like he went down, but I just felt awkward.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't say anything, and I was just like, okay.
Well, do you feel like this could be like a gay anthem as well? Because it sounds almost like from the first pass that you're saying like, hey, I need a girl to take care of me because these guys ain't doing it. It
kind of does sound like that, and I think it's cool. I think a lot of people are receiving it that way. Yeah, like when we play live.
Especially, I mean, think about like the age of a lot of people who go see music shows. They're in that kind of late teens, early 20s. That's kind of the age where a lot of these really empowering thoughts will come to you.
Yeah.
And I like that you're coming from an aspect like you need a girl or friend to talk to about this, this stuff that you can't talk to with this van full of sweaty guys that, are scratching their balls all day.
And especially when I'm like when I'm with, I probably look sweatier than them most times. I think we all looked really sweaty.
Yeah, we all looked pretty greasy.
We all looked really greasy. But yeah, I think it's funny because so the first time we recorded this, it was in Ryan, Wolfgang Zimmerman.
Yeah.
At Rialto Row, and it was me, Corey, Christian was there playing
Christian
something.
From Babe Baby and
Kian. And we were all sitting around because I was stuck on some lyrics, and we were sitting around like talking about what do girls do when they're together. I was like, I don't even know at this
point.
When
they go to the bathroom together.
Yeah, I know. And like Ryan definitely pushed me to like make it a more open-ended song so that it could be about somebody who's gay, or just because that's what art is you put it out and it's everybody's story, I think. Yeah, it can be for anybody.
It was when I listened, because I listened to it again after the first time I heard it, I was like, is that what she's saying? And I was confused because it was like, she's either, I don't know. There was an ambiguity going on there, and that's perfect because you're not saying it's not for that. It's not about that.
Yeah.
But where you were coming from originally, that might not have been it, but you get it if that's what someone takes.
Yeah. And I think too now, especially because there's so many, when we wrote this song in 2017, but even now there's so much culture change where people are more open about how they identify. And I didn't really want this song to be like, hey, I'm a girl. Like, I just wanted it to be a song that people could relate to, whatever that means for them,
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. Which one of y'all came up with the the imagery of the sexy nun thing going on from these singles and apparently on your shirts and your EP.
Well,
I'd imagine you're from Long Island originally, right?
Yeah.
Did you grow up in the church?
I did. I grew up Catholic, and right when I turned 14, I got confirmed. I said, I think that's it. Yeah, so I was kind of used to I never saw a nun in real life, I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't grow up in Catholic school, but my mom did and my grandma did too. And they were always talking about how mean nuns were.
Well, it was hit or miss.
Yeah.
I grew up in Long Island as well.
Oh,
and I went to Catholic school.
That's right.
I went to Catholic school my whole life, so I dealt with nuns and brothers and the priests and the whole thing. And yeah, some were great, some were scary, some are a very good reason not to be in the church anymore for some people. But so where did that come from?
Well, one day we were kind of in search of what's going to be the cover of the EP.
Yeah.
We had no idea.
We finally get to choose this thing. It's so hard.
And Jenna was really good about like continuously searching and like looking through books and looking at these blogs online and looking at all these like Instagram accounts and looking at these artists. And then she had picked made a few bookmarks, and she was showing me some, and we were going through. And then this image, obviously people listening won't be able to see it, but maybe it'll be on. We can just go to our website. Yeah, we can describe it.
We actually just came out. You can pre-order our vinyl now online.
Yeah, it's on our website.
Yeah.
But Jenna found this image, and it's a collage of a statue by Bernini, which is the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa. And it's essentially this nun having an orgasm, but like a sanctified holy orgasm where, but
the
it's
Holy
never
Spirit.
Yeah, where the Holy Spirit came.
Quite literally.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say that.
No. She has a vision, or some kind of spiritual vision where this archangel comes down and speaks to her and then stabs her in the heart with a spear, and she feels burning in her entrails. That's like the description.
Yes.
But the statue is like, you can tell she's obviously like in bliss, and the only like other moment besides apparently spiritual moments is like kind of like a real life flesh orgasm,
Yeah. And we also thought the eyes were cool. They look like stars.
Yeah. But we just thought that like how expressive and emotive this face is kind of like,
It's
kind of
playful.
gets at, it's slightly playful, slightly dark, slightly like sexual,
Yeah.
slightly,
It definitely goes into like the themes in the EP.
Yeah.
Also slightly existential, because like, nuns are thinking about deep shit all day.
You do? You think?
I would say
I
so.
really think
You're
they
really
are.
contemplating life differently than most people.
It's interesting because when you go to any museum, so much art from way back in the day
Yeah.
is all religious because it had to be by law. So you had all of this amazing artwork and it was all religious, but it's always fun. Like I went to the Vatican. I just loved looking at the artwork and picking out like the little things where you're like, come on, dude. Whoever painted that was totally into that guy.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you paint something, when you make something, when you write a song, when you write a lick, when you do anything artistic, you're putting some of yourself into it. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at stuff like that, you can tell, like, I think you picked up on the right message.
Yeah.
Like it's a definite, like, that seems like an orgasmic image.
Yeah. And
when you zoom in on her face. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess you couldn't, I wonder how could you express your sexuality in art like during that time?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. You had to do it in code, basically.
I guess you did. Yeah.
Well, Teresa, who the statue is based upon, is the saint who I guess was beatified in, I don't know, the 1600s. But apparently she was a part of this like movement called bridal mysticism, where like they were like literally wedded to Jesus or God or something. And so he was their like actual partner. So whatever that means for expressing yourself in that regard, you know.
We all know what went on behind the convent doors. That's what we're saying.
I imagine.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine at some point somebody decided like, oh, we need to act as a vessel of the Holy Spirit and help you along here. You know,
because
that kind
the
of
Holy
thing.
Spirit came.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
See, we're way more inappropriate than you thought our band name was.
No,
When we
I
started off
was
in the
under no
podcast.
illusion that you guys were appropriate.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, need I replay the?
That's
line.
true. Should we play? No.
I just wanna talk shit.
There you go.
I keep forgetting how like explicit that is, honestly.
I know. I think like mass media is rejecting it right now because when we first
What?
put, I don't know.
I mean, are you getting rejected?
Well, like there's this thing called. I mean, I think there's this thing called Submit Hub, right? And so you put your song, submit it to like these people who make these random playlists or blogs and stuff. And it's just funny because I think people are offended by the lyrics. They're just like, I thought I like the song, but it sounds like a bad relationship. I was like, I don't really think you listened to the song, but that's okay. That's what that's okay. But I don't know. I wonder if people are like, well, this is, but it's not. And now I'll make a normal reference. It's not as bad as Wet Ass Pussy, but also not as good,
Right.
honestly.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
there's the obnoxious, like in your face way to go
Yeah, that's
about it,
definitely
and then
in your
there's the let me say it right out there, but not like so.
Yeah.
Like you know, it's not like you're sitting there repeating it over and over and over
Yeah,
and
yeah,
over
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So I don't. I think that.
No, I don't think it's. I just said it. I don't know why I said that.
Well, I mean, you might feel that way. Have you played it? Have you played it for your family?
Yeah. Yeah, we have. I think.
Okay.
I think my dad made this face. I don't know if they real. I think it's kind of like an unacknowledged thing that's really what I'm saying. I wonder. We haven't really talked about it.
Yeah.
But my mom did say my video is very sensual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever you mix religious references with sexual references, yeah, you're riding a line right there.
Yeah.
And you know, you're basically saying to a lot of people like, this might not be for you.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think
but
you're
that's
right.
okay. I
Yeah,
think
that is cool.
We actually had a few, you know, we were sponsoring some Facebook and Instagram posts for the video and like check out the video, stream the song, whatever. And at first it got blocked because I guess maybe it's like algorithm for detecting nudity, like saw the morph suits and like I guess thought that like naked people were in the video.
Yeah, I think that's why I thought that because I was like, I wonder.
If like the algorithm is like,
I don't know.
who knows?
It's the worst. First of all, algorithms are terrible ways to judge content.
Yeah.
You know, when you get flagged for things, and I had a post, an Instagram story taken down, and I found out about like 2 months later, that said, I don't know what COVID-19 is, but this is the cure. And it had a picture of the band, The Cure.
Oh, okay.
And it got taken down and like, oh, for spreading misinformation about COVID-19. And I was like, that whole image, it's a joke, but it's a factual statement.
Yeah,
that is 100% the band The Cure. That's The
that
Cure.
That is The Cure.
Not a cure, The Cure.
That is right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So algorithm type things like that are so awful because it's just, there's no room for
Jokes.
interpretation.
I know.
Yeah.
Come on. Be a little funnier.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Man. So what is what's the future looking like now that you guys have had to pivot because of this? You're still releasing this record. You can't tour it, unfortunately. Everything's kind of put on pause right now. What kind of plans have you guys have you decided to go back into writing mode? Like where have you gone with this?
Well, I was pretty sad at first. Like, but I think we've turned a corner. I think ultimately maybe for this release, it wasn't the best like timing, but I think we kind of like in an optimistic way grew because we realized, okay, what do we have right here? We have, Corey has a studio. He just built this really cool desk for himself. I songwrite. We just got into doing some video stuff. So we're kind of like really just looking for the first time at, we don't have to look at all these other things. Let's just figure out what do we have and just dig into it and create video and
what do we enjoy doing? Cause like, I mean, a lot of at least what's taken up the past, honestly, I guess 2 months really has been the music video that we did for Automatic Love. Right. And that's going to be coming out at the end of this month.
We definitely are trying. We're definitely trying to dig in and, like I said earlier, put ourselves out there, market ourselves better. I've just like been doing some research about like marketing your music, which I've never done before. As silly as that sounds,
it's so hard.
It's so complex. It's
convincing someone to listen to a song is one of the most difficult things in the world. I find it easier to get people to listen to an hour-long podcast than a 3-minute song.
You do?
Yeah. Well, there's something odd about trying to convince somebody to check out a song. It's such a, I don't know if it has to happen in a way that naturally happens for that person. For as a consumer of music, maybe that's the problem. Like they don't want to be solicited. It just has to like, they have to be in the moment and the song comes on and it just hits them at the right time. Like maybe you've been
have your best friend be like, dude, you're going to love this song, man.
Yeah.
Like it's the best.
A lot of times when people tell me that I'm going to love something, I get afraid.
Right. And a lot of times you hate it. You're like, well, why do they think I would like that?
Yeah, or like I get intimidated. Like Corey, I really like Mitski. I think we were next to each other at High Water when we were watching Mitski. Did you see that show?
Yeah. She brought out the table and all that stuff.
And Corey told me like, Jenna, you're gonna love this, and I didn't listen to it for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
I was like, I probably am, and you're right, but like I'm not ready. And then I listened to it, and the first time I listened to it, I was like, yeah, this is really, really cool. But I don't know why I was so hesitant.
I think I've been turned on to musicians I probably never would have thought by seeing them live as well. And you guys have a spectacular. It's so upsetting because you guys have really developed quickly. You developed as a live band because I remember seeing your first show at the Royal American.
Yeah, was it Babe Club or Rico and Miranda?
No, it was Babe Club.
Babe Club, okay.
So maybe it wasn't your first show. Maybe it was the first show as Babe Club.
Yeah, I think it might have been.
But you guys had like a whole set of original music. I was like, how did they do this?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? Like, it wasn't like a long set. I think you guys might have played for like 25, 30 minutes or something. But I was like, this came out of left field. Like, how did they formulate this band? And then you guys kept like evolving those songs and adding more songs and things. You did just an amazing job of playing to that club, playing to the Royal American, which is, I mean, you have to be good to play at the Royal American.
Yeah.
It's an established rule.
Yeah.
You can play any kind of music as long as you're good at it.
Yeah.
And you guys are good.
True.
So it was like, whoa, here comes this thing. Like, it turns you on when you see a band like that deliver live. And you guys really had this personality, this live. I'm talking about it in the past sense, and I apologize.
No, that's okay.
You guys still have. I just haven't seen any live.
I know.
What was the last live band you saw besides yourselves?
We went to Crybaby. That band was going to South by Southwest the week that it was canceled. So we played like country covers that show. So we saw a bunch of local bands play country covers. That was it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, everybody's really talented.
Was that in March?
Yeah. At the Tin Roof. Yeah.
It's so funny because it's one of those things you never know when you're at your last of anything.
No.
And I was hired to shoot this Jewish festival, and Modest Yahoo was the musical artist. So that was the last concert I saw. Was Modest Yahoo.
That's pretty cool. Was it? Did you like it?
Yeah, he was good. His band is great. But I was just like, you know what I'm saying? You don't know. You're there and you're not sitting there going like, I better enjoy this because this is the last time I'm going to be doing this for a long time.
Yeah. I actually remember being at the Tin Roof when coronavirus was out, and I was looking at the water cooler like so scared. I was like, I felt like I was scuba diving and I could hear myself breathing, like looking at the water cooler. Because, you know, you're in the crowd of noise. You're like, there could be germs. Can you hear me? There could be germs on this. That's how I felt at our last show.
That Jewish festival, it was Purim was the name of the and it's kind of like a Halloween type thing. People get dressed up. So like every other person was dressed up as a giant virus.
Are you serious?
Because it was as it was breaking, but it hadn't shut anything down yet. And so I'm like, oh, maybe I should just not. Maybe those pictures need to go away of all these people dressed up like as a virus.
They were dressed up like a virus?
Yeah. Like, like all different versions of it. People in nurse uniforms with like green things on them.
Oh.
And
I was picturing like a big circular
some
thing.
Of those too. Yeah.
With the cones coming off of them. Wow.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh man, that might not have aged well.
Yeah.
Like that's not too soon. It's like pre-soon. It's not
pre-soon.
Is there a word for too soon before it happens?
Yeah.
Like
you should post that photo like 10 years later, like, and be like celebrating coronavirus being over for 10 years. Look at these people dressing up today.
Yeah, these people had no idea what they were like poking fun at the time.
Yeah.
You know, it really was the scariest costume. Do you guys live together?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Is that crazy?
How do you do it?
It gets pretty insane, or it just gets pretty overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you have your own like little spaces that you can go to?
Our house is too small.
Our house is pretty small.
We have a 2-bedroom.
But it's big, but it's not.
I mean, well, it's
small, but
if it wasn't our space that we did music in, it would be plenty big for us. You know, we'd have like an extra bedroom where someone could just go and hang out. But instead, it's like you walk in the living room, and when you're in the living room, it's like this rectangle, and you have two choices on the back wall. You can go to the bedrooms, or you can go to the kitchen and the dining room. So the dining room is actually our living room. That's where our couch and TV is. But in the living room, it has a drum set. There's a table there, and then there's some other music. There's some guitars and stuff and amps, you know, all around. And then the first bedroom is the control room with the studio. So we got the computer and the preamps and the synthesizers and all that stuff in that room. And then we have a bedroom in the back.
We don't have a bedroom, actually. It's a music. We just have those things that it's a bed. It goes into the wall, and we pull it out.
Murphy bed?
Yeah. And then we have a bedroom.
But so it's really hard for like, you know, if like I'm mixing something, then I'm just blasting the speakers, and then Jenna's just in the next room, just like, I don't know, working on something else, you know.
My wife's not a musician, and during the first like couple of months of this lockdown, Ben Folds was stuck in Australia for this time. The pianist musician Ben Folds.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
Okay, so he was doing a weekly like webcast where he was doing an all request show, and he's playing piano for people. And my wife just looks over at me while I'm watching it, and she's like, "Living with a musician is so friggin' annoying."
Oh my gosh.
Because, you know, he's talking about the music and he's playing it, and he was giving like piano lessons to people on this live stream and stuff. And she's just like, that's all he does all day. She loves Ben Folds, loves his music, but she can't stand it. Like, even if I pick up a guitar and she's home and I do what any of you guys might do, this sounds like I'm bitching about my wife. This is really inappropriate.
No, it's just living together in a weird circumstance.
Well, when someone doesn't get it,
or you get to see someone in a different light. It's just like, oh wow, like this is what musicians do. That's kind of annoying.
When I'd pick up a guitar and you'd play like the same chord progression over and over and over and over.
Yeah, to normal people, it's got to be like really annoying.
Yeah, I took vocal lessons over the past 2 years, and like it was basically speech therapy. So sometimes Corey would like have be working with people over the house, and I would be in the other room saying, yes, I do.
It's like random
Like
phrases
over and
to
over
like
again.
practice like perfect diction, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
And not that I kind of sound Long Island when I talk, but it helped me with singing. And
You've lost it a lot.
yeah. I don't think I ever really had an accent, but it comes out a little bit.
I feel like you're getting closer again.
To what?
Long Island.
No. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of funny just because we are around each other all the time. So we do all those annoying things like over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it's frustrating because I didn't realize like I have headphones that have open backs on them. So if I'm working on something and I repeat it and I'm playing it over and over and over and over again, she can hear it through the headphones.
Yeah,
and then she'd be like, "Can you do something else?" And I'm like, "How did you know?"
Like I was in my
gosh.
own world over here.
Yeah. So for you guys, you're both musicians, so you understand. But it's a lot. It's a lot of audio pollution.
It is, and you have to learn how to shut it out. Like I feel like for me, I come from being in college with like, you know, hearing all the different practice rooms going off all at once. So it's like I've kind of learned how to exist where it's like, you know, multiple things going on at once. But there are some things that like you can't, like if I'm like really trying to zoom in on a mix or something, and then I'm like, Jenna, I really you have to stop. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or like likewise, she's like, Corey, I really have to practice this. Like you're gonna have to listen with headphones, you know.
Have you started going into the van to do practice sessions by yourself?
Way too hot. Yeah. I know. We bought a van last year. Doesn't that totally blow?
It's like, yeah, we bought it at the end of 2019. Like we're gonna tour in 2020. It's gonna be our year.
But
you
it's
guys
okay.
had everything ready to go.
Oh
I know.
yeah, we were stacked up.
Yeah.
Man,
It's okay.
you're gonna make it through.
I
this.
think we went through a positive change
Yeah, I think
this whole
so, too.
thing. So
What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Let's have a fantasy.
okay.
Let's have a fantasy. America is still a country. That's
Okay.
the first part of the fantasy.
Okay.
Okay. And we're still a free country. And there's some sort of worldwide vaccine. And within a relatively quick period of time, the world can go back to normal. But now we've got to rebuild. All the clubs might not be there.
Yeah.
What do you see? Do you see a return to the old days of like people using like fire halls and centers like that, youth centers and things like that, and putting on their own concerts back like they did in the 90s?
That would be. I haven't
Yeah.
even thought about that. I
mean,
thought maybe
house
people at
shows.
house shows.
Those
Yeah.
are really gonna flourish.
I also feel like, I mean, I know everybody hated that Spotify guy who said you can't release music every 3 years, and
Anymore.
I kind of agree with that because it's just normal. I think technology has advanced so much that everybody has a studio.
Right. And I don't think I think for some reason we're still clinging on to the idea of the album,
Yeah.
the full length LP.
It's exciting though.
But we're clinging
yeah.
on to it, but it's so unnecessary now.
Yeah.
Like you literally could just write a song tonight. You could go home and say, I'm inspired by thinking about whether or not Third Eye Blind is a dick joke or not. So I'm going to write a song about it. And you get home, you write the song, and tomorrow it could be published for the world to listen to.
Yeah.
And that's something like you don't have to wait and be like, well, now I'm going to wait. I got to mix it together with this other group of songs. And then I got to master it all to be the same kind of sound, blah, 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 blah. And then I got to market it and I got artwork. And
Yeah.
you could just immediately publish now. You don't have like things are different. So I'm trying to find through this whole switch, like what changes? Does that change? Does that come down to the whole way people put their music out as a live musician? Like you said, going to house shows, being more intimate and doing, because those have been going on. Like I've seen some of my favorite musicians play in someone's living room.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't know this would ever happen.
Those are my favorite shows.
I think the pandemic, just like honestly every other field where a lot of more people are working from home, and then all these corporations are finding the data saying like, oh, they're more productive some weird way. or like these factors make these people working at home more productive. These are less productive, so they need to come back to the office. But I think it's just kind of accelerating the acceptance of technology and where it is and how that interacts with our lives, because where we're forced to rely on the internet, it's kind of shifting us to be more immersed into it in a way that's possible and in a way that I feel like was slowly moving there, but because of like the infrastructure of touring and live bands and like how it makes sense, like if you release a record and you want to tour the world, it takes a long time to tour the world, you know? And so like, it makes sense that like you have this one big thing that like you base your tour off of, but then, if touring was eliminated, I think in the context of a digital world, I think, we're finding that albums don't matter as much, but I think there is a merit to them though, because there is something to be said about like a full body of work being like as an artist statement and like identifying the artist. But in regards to how it relates to your fan base now, I don't think it's necessarily, especially for small bands.
Yeah.
I thought this was supposed to be a fantasy.
Well,
I'm messing with you. I want to be on a tour bus. Actually, I want to be touring by drone.
By drone.
Yeah.
You want to be airlifted.
Airlifted city to city because
do the David Blaine
the
thing
gas is going to be way too expensive. Yeah. Messing around.
No, that's great. Yeah. Just have the drone drop us off.
I'm wondering, I mean, do you think, like I've seen a shift in social media where it used to be like people posting this fantasy version of themselves. I use the word fantasy again, but the kind of the perfect version of themselves. And it feels like because of this pandemic, people have gotten more realistic. So instead of like, here's me in this great location, you only see people at their happiest times in life. People are posting things of them doing mundane things. Like just like ordinary life, because that has become glamorous of like, here's me at the grocery store now because I can go to the grocery store.
Right.
How do you think that's going to affect songwriting? Do you think music, like if you're playing to smaller, more intimate venues, does it change?
I don't know, because I feel like, I don't know.
Well, I guess to respond to like the first half of what you're saying, like where people are in their houses doing all these normal mundane things, I find that all the artists that I read about and the ones that I talk to is almost everybody has had a block. Like no one is writing anything right now. And like the only thing that's coming out are like songs that were recorded years ago, and they're coming out now, or it's like, well, I wrote this song years ago and I'm just recording it now. It's like, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of like, because I feel like a lot of writing comes from experience and comes from like living life, and it's just not, a lot of artists aren't living life right now because their life is shut down.
It's scary.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, and I think it's true. I'm interested to see, because outside of, it's weird, the music industry is still going on. People are still streaming. New artists are like blowing up on the internet, on Spotify and on TikTok. I think that's
become like a new record, like, or new music, a new way to consume music is TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't even have it on my phone, but from what I understand, it has become a way that people experience music now. A new way.
I don't really like it. It's overwhelming to me. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think it's interesting because every musician is so different and everybody plays on a strength. So maybe if there are more house shows after this, like you will see more singer-songwriter type things. Cause I think like it's fun to go to like a punk show in like someone's house, but at the same time, like most people don't want to like have the risk of like falling through the floor, I feel, even though those are some of my favorite shows. We played a bunch of house shows with Susto and that was fun, but I think maybe people are going to play into their strengths. People are learning to, I feel, rely more on what they are, Do you feel like that? I don't know. I'm just trying to guesstimate. I think
they have to.
They have to.
Yeah, I just wonder if it's going to be a more what the reaction will be. In other words, when we come out of this, will people reflect on what just happened and be more down to earth? Like a early 90s grunge period where it was a total reaction to what they came out of the 80s, of the plasticky, the hair metal and the all that kind of stuff. And then you had the grunge and the gangster hip hop going on, and it was a lot more gritty and dirty and like, and then, you know, slowly but surely the early 2000s, you kind of got back into that boy band thing, became big again. And like, you know, like we go in these waves, and I just wonder what the reaction to something that like this is such an earth shattering, event.
Yeah.
And how is that going to influence art? Because right now we're consuming art that was made right up until this thing happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess you're really going to see the impact of this on art once it's over. So it's like, what does that look like?
What do you think? How do we feel? I think we're just on a page where we're like going to record at our house and just see what happens. Like and I think, not be so precious about our releases. I don't know what that means, but maybe it means not having this like certain sound or certain image, but being more experimental with.
And just be more fluid with releases and kind of like.
But genre-wise, I really don't know. Like, what do you think?
I'm interested to see what people come up with. I know exactly what Corey was saying, that like there was a period where your ability to create has been stomped out by dealing with this, by fear, depression, sadness, loss for some people, just all of anger. Anger has been like the worst one for me, because it was just such a, you know, the things that are going on socially. It feels like it's getting to a boiling point. I feel it's past a boiling point. It's boiling over. And you know, like it's so much at once. So I can see like it's overwhelming to create stuff. And like for my creative output of doing photography, I haven't done anything truly creative with my photography in a long time. It's just been work.
Right.
It's just doing work. It's like getting a job done because I have to do it. So I'm very curious to see how the world adopts this new mindset, whatever that mindset will be, and reacts to what just happened. You know, it's so nobody really knows. Comedy, theater, there's all of these performance things that just can't happen in the way, you know, music you could do. You guys had been doing it in your bedroom.
Yeah, so nothing has almost changed for us.
Well, in the recording and writing process.
Yeah, I mean, I guess honestly, if in the next few months, if nothing passes in Congress to help like independent venues, I mean, I think we'll probably see a shift in music to be whatever house shows can accommodate. Yeah, you know, I feel like if house shows are the only things that can happen in terms of small productions, you know, or like mid-sized productions, I feel like that probably will definitely affect. Like if people are playing shows at those places and they're getting reactions from those audience members in a way that only a house show can produce, like it'll affect the writing, you know? Yeah. And
that's what I'm saying. Like what kind of music scene is it going to look like? What's it going to, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I hate that it has to happen this way, but I'm excited for the artistic world to wake up and react. Because it's not just musicians, it's everybody. Yeah. That's in a creative field is feeling that. And you're starting to see some things, you know, people starting to come out of it. They're in a different level of you have a psychology.
Well, yeah, what is it?
They're in a different state of grief. Yeah. You know, of overcoming this.
Yeah, like I was going to ask you, do you feel, I felt this way. Did you feel during the pandemic at all, like just being dropped into a hole and then having to just like grab onto these like things that you could potentially do or get into, or it was inspiring at first, and then as the pandemic went on, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to do any of those things. I feel like that's what a lot of people did. Try to make bread,
Oh yeah.
Or
Started
try
a
to maybe change the
garden.
way your business is working, or like, I don't know. Did you feel that way at all?
All of those things.
Yeah.
All of those things. And the reality of it was I just kind of fell back into like, what can I get done? What can I get done? I got
Yeah.
work to do. I had to adapt to a lot of things quickly. But that was fine. That was a distraction because it was something to do, you know?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to, and there was things like projects around the house, that type of thing. Like, oh, now I've noticed that this thing needs attention, which I'm sure you guys living together in a house, you're probably like, oh, I can build this audio desk.
We did.
Yeah.
We are trying to make some improvements to
Yeah,
our
for
house.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it at no point with that kind of stuff are you really dealing with the emotional part of it. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of emotional outpouring from people when they start to get to that point where they can. But until then, I'm just I'm trying through this podcast to communicate through other artists and see where they're at and what they're doing and how they've been dealing with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's been focusing on the creative process and what it means to them.
Yeah, I feel like for one, you guys, the air conditioning went off, and also,
It's so
could you
quiet.
tell it changed the mood?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everything kind of just,
I know. I was like, whoa.
yeah.
Like, is this in our heads, or I also think it's the air conditioning too.
Yeah.
But I know. I think I hit this point during the pandemic where I was unemployed for most of this, so like I don't know what the hell I spend so much time by myself. And I saw my family more than I have this year, which has been really cool. And I feel like having that connection was really, really nice for me. But yeah, just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did this like artist circle thing. I found on Instagram. It's funny. I paid $35 to like chat in this Zoom session with different people around the world. And this lady led us through like, what fears do you have about your creativity, and like what messages do you keep repeating to yourself, and what's on the other side of the coin? Like, what do you need here, but what do you already have, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just nice to sit in a room with like 4 people who I didn't know and just be like, yeah, we all feel the same way. Like, why do we feel this way, you know? I think everybody just really misses feeling that kind of connection.
Yeah.
So that was really nice for me. I feel like it gave me this like new zest and wanting to like reach out to people on the internet and collaborate. I think people are understanding like how we can really connect to whoever we want to, you know, now more than ever.
I think the whole point of why we do creative things is to make those connections with people. Is to find somebody who gets what you're saying at that moment and how you're saying it, and they connect with you. Corey, we're going to wrap this up soon because I know we're here. We've been going a bit long, but I'm enjoying this conversation. What was the thing that got you into music where it became a thing you couldn't live without? Like, was there a thing that you can pinpoint, whether it's a person or a feeling or something in your life where like the light switch went on and you were like, I have to do this?
I mean, I feel like it was this weird thing that just developed when I started playing the guitar and started kind of thinking of music that way. And like, I don't know. I feel like it was always wrapped up in just the emotion that it generates and the feeling that, I don't know. I feel like I always, after I started playing music, it's just this thing that crept up into me and never left. Or, you know, I mean, ever since the 8th grade, I feel like I knew that like I'm going to be in music, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the instrument really kind of became your vocal cords. For lack of a better term, your voice.
I think it's just music itself, you know, because it doesn't matter the the instrument, because I started playing guitar very soon after that, or piano very soon after that, and I don't know. It doesn't matter what it is, you know. I just like the. I don't know.
It's hard to
it's hard to articulate because
it's a heady question. I know
it is a heady question, and it's kind of spiritual for me, at least. I feel like my relationship with music has just been so deeply emotional, and like I want to play music because, you know, the feeling I get when I'm playing like a classical piano piece, and like there's just this one moment that just like really gets at the core of the emotion of the piece, and like I feel that, and that's what I live for, is those moments, you know. Yeah. Or like whenever we're working on a song and then you hear these with the way the vocal hits the reverb and how like it lands with the bass note here, and it's just perfectly creating this emotion, you know. It's I just live for that, you know. That's what gives me purpose in life.
That's awesome. I love that answer.
So it's hard to say. There's not like a thing that was like this event,
blah
blah blah.
Well,
maybe professionally, however, I felt like I got more direction when I went to Bonnaroo for the first time.
Wow.
And I
At
saw
a music festival.
Music festival, yeah. So like I had in college, I practiced too much and I got tendonitis because I practiced too much without knowing like a proper technique for piano. And because I started late, I started at 16, but I was trying to catch up with all the virtuosos, you know. And so I spent like, you know, ungodly amounts of hours in the practice rooms, like 8 hours a day. And then I just overdid it because I was overeager. And I got tendonitis and then I couldn't practice for like 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Or I mean, I could, but like
not at the level you wanted
not
to.
Like practice. Yeah. Not the level I wanted to. And I kind of had a crisis where I switched my major to geology for a week. It was like a week, but I was like going to geology classes and I was like, I guess I have to like get a job and like be a person, you know. But then I had this like
just so you know, like Corey's not a person.
I think everybody listening to it knows exactly what he means.
Yeah. But then there's this moment I was sitting in, I was also double majoring in German at the time. And I was sitting in this German poetry class and we were going over like the different, like, you know, the same words in German that are in English, but talking about like poetic terms and terminology. Like this means, this is foreshadowing. This is metaphors, blah, blah. And I was like, these are all the things that I love about music. I was like, and like in that, I just left that class and just like went to the office and changed my major and like instantly went back, you know, and I was like, I'm going to figure it out, whatever I have to do, you know. But right after that, I went to Bonnaroo and I watched Paul McCartney play. And I feel like after like watching him play and just being a part of that like sea of people, you know, like talking about that in COVID right now is particularly weird, but just being a part of that energy and seeing like those people on stage, you know, in that way, and especially someone as iconic as Paul McCartney, it just kind of, I just sat down and looked at the empty stage after everybody left for a while. And I was like, I think I could, like, this is really the direction I want to go. Because I was like playing classical piano and doing like a little folk music on the guitar just because I could play the guitar pretty well, you know. And then I was like, I think I want to go into this realm, you know.
Yeah.
And then Jenna actually happened to be in the crowd at the same Bonnaroo. We hadn't met
we went
yet.
to the same Bonnaroo. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I mean, it's not that crazy, but
was
it was
before
cool.
you knew each other?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a few months before we met.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I know.
Yeah, and I felt like not transformed is not the right word, but I felt like invigorated to like with direction, you know. And then very short, like a year after that, I joined Susto, you know.
Really?
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
Like the way things will line up for you when you tell the universe, hey, this is my passion, and then like you might not see it at the time, but in retrospect, you're like, things started lining up, and the path was lit for me.
It's really funny because when I went back to school, I met Jenna that fall, and I also met this guy who lived like 2 doors down from me. His name was Tom. He was a Dutch exchange student, and there's this place in College Lodge, which is a dorm at College of Charleston, called the Smoker Circle, called the Smirkle, you know. And so I was walking downstairs past the Smoker Circle, and Tom, he's like this long-haired guy who like literally talks like he's from Michigan or something,
Yeah,
but he's from the Netherlands. Like, and he was like, "Hey man," he was like, "I eat a kiwi with the skin on it too," because I was just like chomping on this kiwi with the skin on it, and that's we counted our friendship. But he ended up having a class with Justin from Susto because he was studying anthropology at the time, and Tom had been invited to hang out with them at their house and met Johnny, and him and Johnny had the same birthday. And then Johnny just released the album, and he showed me that album from Johnny Delaware, and he was like, dude, this guy's amazing. You have to meet these people. And so like he told Johnny I played piano, and then he told me about Johnny's music. And so then at a going away party for Tom, this is a story.
I love this.
At a going away party for Tom, he invites Justin and Johnny, and then Johnny walks in. It's like this, backyard Charleston house, like fire party. And Johnny walks into the party, sits into this like metal folding chair, crosses his legs, and looks at me. He's like, "So Corey, you play the piano?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Do you want to be in a band?"
Wow, without even hearing you.
Yeah, without even hearing
That's
me.
fantastic.
Yeah, he just heard that Tom said like, "Yeah, this kid's great." And so then I joined Johnny Delaware's band and played my like first rock show at the Poorhouse like right after that. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this language of music though.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could look you in the eye and just know. He's like, I've been told by someone I trust, and he could look at you and probably in that instant go yes or no as far as like, oh yeah, no, this guy will work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Without even hearing you, he could just look at you, get that, he got that, he got that information from somebody, and he can get to that point. And that's
pretty cool.
That's very cool.
I know it's weird. At the same time, me and Corey had an art history class together.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know. We met and then had that art history class together, right?
Yeah, it was like, so it was like right when like at the end of that semester, Johnny asked me to be in his band. And then the next semester we came back, and then
that semester I had the same thing happen to me. I played, and do you remember King Dusko?
Uh-huh.
I played at an open, I almost left College of Charleston there. I didn't have any friends really. And I just played an open mic at King Dusko with somebody who I didn't really know. And their neighbor was at the show. And like 3 months, it was just one time. 3 months later, my friend's neighbor upstairs was like, "Hey, I got your number from your friend Becca. I know this other guy who was looking for someone who plays the piano." And so it was Tyler from Herman's Victory.
Wow.
And I just like went to his house. He didn't even go to College of Charleston. I was
just showed up.
Yeah, it was so weird. I was like, okay, I don't even remember what really happened the first time that we played together, but it was kind of the same thing. And then I walked into art history like a week after the semester started, and Corey was like, "I think I joined a band." I was like, "I think I did too." But then we were on the same path, it was kind of funny.
I feel like this is a script.
I know it does sound like a script. It's very rom-com, but it's cool to tell your life like that, I guess.
But it's an identifiable thing of just connecting those dots. And how people meet each other. It's so awesome. It's so awesome that you met each other through music. You both love music, and you make wonderful music.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't say that lightly. I started off this conversation. I don't even know if we were recording at that point, talking about how I'm very like, guarded about the music that I let into my life. And then we talked about it a little bit later, how it's hard to get other people to listen.
Yeah.
And I'm telling people who are listening to this right now, seriously, listen to the songs that they've put out so far, because it's extremely well done, but it's so brave and strong. I mean, you guys did a cover. I swear I'm gonna end this podcast soon. You guys did a Talking Heads cover, and I listened to it the first time I heard it. I almost shut it off.
You did?
Because there's a reverence for the Talking Heads, and then the way you attacked it, the first part of it, I was like, I'm not feeling this, and then I played it again, and I listened to the whole thing, and I was like, oh, I get it.
You did?
Oh, yeah. No, it hit me the second time I listened to it.
Where the synth and the drums come in.
I had the same thing. I've liked that song since I was like 18. Road to Nowhere. It's awesome.
It's so good.
I guess we were feeling the doom and gloom of the pandemic. I mean, if you want to know how the architecture of what's going on affected music, well, it made your favorite song into a total downer. But then it you know, it's not a downer, but it's definitely a little bit more pessimistic than the original version.
Yeah, it's a little bit more introspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember hearing that and going like, I don't know. And then I gave it another chance because I was like, they wouldn't like put a dud out. Let me listen to this again. And I was totally like, I was grateful that I gave the second listen. Sometimes music is like that where you don't get it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's not me singing. That's actually the spirit of coronavirus singing through me. So if it sounds a little depressing, it's not my fault.
You have an alter ego, by the way.
Charisse, is that what you're saying?
Yes, you have an alter Charisse, which sounds like
yeah. I don't know. Her accent switches up because I don't know. Is this thing that just happened? Charisse Fairweather.
It came from her vocal lessons where she was practicing like good diction.
Yeah.
And so she's like, hi, it's Charisse Fairweather and we're here today.
Yeah. I was trying to do a newscaster voice because my voice teacher, the first time I walked into, should I talk like this all the time? I sound so confident.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird though, right?
It's funny because we're used to hearing that voice in media.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? So you're kind of comfortable with it, but at the same time, your kind of guard goes up. It's like, I'm not talking to a person right now.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm glad I made the decision not to like totally change the way I talk. But my vocal teacher, the first time I walked, we're going to end this podcast soon, guys.
Yes.
So the first time I walked into her, she said to talk through your teeth with your jaw closed, which is pretty hard. Do like the Pledge of Allegiance. And so I'm just like, hi, I'm Charisse Fairweather. And, it's pretty hard. Hi, I'm Charisse Fairweather. And so I started doing that a lot just to like open myself up. Hi. And at venues, it's hard to talk all that time. So,
dude, that's the speaking through your with your teeth closed. That's how you do a great Bruce Springsteen impression.
It is.
Yeah, try it.
What is he? I don't. I messed up, and I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, what do you mean?
So think of Bruce Springsteen. All right, so Born to Run.
Right.
That's probably like the quintessential Bruce Springsteen song, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you close your mouth, not your mouth, you clench your chin.
Oh yeah.
In the days we sweat out on the streets of a runaway American dream, at night we ride through mansions of glory and suicide machines. You do like
wow, you've practiced that, huh?
I'm telling you could do any Bruce Springsteen song.
I should do that.
Born in the USA. Yeah, you get that thing going.
Yeah, you do.
But that's one of those back in the day. That was the
that's cool.
How you can impersonate Bruce Springsteen.
Wow.
Keep your teeth closed. All right.
I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket.
There you go. When you want, I think Corey's about to go to sleep on us here.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's had a long day. So let's give all the plugs of everything that to get to Babe Club. They have a website. It's
joinbabeclub.com.
On social media.
Join Babe Club on every single platform. Facebook.com/joinbabeclub. Instagram, Join Babe Club.
Twitter,
Join Babe Club.
TikTok,
Join Babe Club.
I don't really post anything on there, but apparently I should. So
Snapchat.
just go over there.
Bandcamp,
we don't have a Snapchat.
Joinbabeclub.bandcamp.
Yeah.
There you go.
Boom.
And so hit them up, give them a follow, purchase some merch from them. They need to pay for their van.
That's right.
Yes.
We do.
The rent is due. It's a new month.
Yes.
Let's see what else. Look for the new record. Pre-order it on their website. Yeah. So join Babe Club.
Yes. Join
That's
Babe Club.
it.
Very simple.
Do it.
Thank you so much for coming here, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was so nice.
So great.